What's going on, y'all? This is Randall Branch. Welcome back to the channel. And in this video, we're going to be talking about how money, you potentially don't need as much money as you think you guys need, right? There's a lot of female content creators in the self-development space, but there's also a plethora of male content creators in the self-development space. And a lot of them preach making $900,000 a month or making $1 million a month, or you're not this if you can't make $5 million a month, right? And I want to preface the video first by saying I'm not virtue signaling, right? I'm not, and I hope you guys don't do this either. Do not take like the approach, because a lot of people, when they hear, oh, you may not need as much money as you think, or money isn't everything, or anything like that, the first thing that comes to mind is, oh, money is bad, and money is the root of all evil, like all this stuff, right? And by the way, that scripture isn't even money is the root of all evil. Is the love of money is the root of all evil. Everybody forgets that part, right? Because that part's extremely important. But money is needed, right? You need money to survive, to feed yourself, to house yourself, to clothe yourself, etc., right? Money is not a bad thing. And obviously, whatever occupation you have, whatever business you have, whatever you're pursuing, you're going to want money, right? You're going to want to provide value. And money, the amount of money you have is almost in a direct correlation to the amount of value that you're providing. So you want to just provide as much value to society, and you want to get money. I'm not acting like money is bad, but I want you guys to understand that the reason why a lot of people believe that they need so much money is because they're living beyond their means. But beyond that, because we all hear, oh, like live below your means or live at your means. We get that, right? But the biggest thing is that a lot of things that people want, especially men, but women too. Actually, I can't say especially men, because women are some of the women are the women make up more of the consumer pool than men. So it's the same thing for women. But a lot of people, most of the things that they want, they don't even necessarily want, right? They're trying to compete with people, they're trying to flex on people, they're trying to impress people. But if they sat back and realized what they actually wanted, and if it was a true desire for them, they'd realize that they don't even want it. Like certain cars, certain houses, maybe certain clothes, maybe a certain vacation, whatever it may be. Like it could be tattoos, it could be anything, certain shoes. A lot of people don't realize that they only want these certain things because of social media, or because somebody else has it, or because they think that it would impress people or whatever, but they don't generally want them. Like if you sat down and you really audited your wants and needs, you'd probably and I'm talking about truly audited your wants and needs, not what people think that you should want or what people say that you should have or whatever it may be, but what you truly desire, your heart's true desires for your wants and your needs. You'd probably realize that you don't want that much, right? You probably realize that some of the shoes or some of the clothes or some of the vacations or like a certain location or whatever it may be, you don't really desire those things, but they were instead somebody else's desires that you kind of consumed, right? And that's the biggest reason why you probably don't need as much money as you think. And again, I'm not virtue signaling. I can tell you guys, for me personally, I want to make a good amount of money, and it's because there's certain business ventures, like opening up my own skincare, like launching my fragrance, launching my supplement line, right? Launching my meal prep company. There's certain things that I want to do within my self-development business that I want to be able to put up the capital by myself without taking out a business loan or taking out a loan from the bank or asking people for money or whatever. And I want to be able to use certain business ventures to venture into other business ventures. So I do want to make a good amount of money. And I want you guys to want to make a good amount of money too, but I want you guys to just make sure that you always have an authentic brain, right? You always have your authentication on. You're not getting caught up in and trying to keep up with the Joneses. You're not getting caught up in trying to impress people. And I see this a lot with men. And again, I can't really say that because women do that too. Women are the majority of the consumer pool, but I can speak more for men because I am a man, and most of the people I see on social media are men. I don't keep up with a lot of women on social media, if any, right? The men on social media, you'll see these men driving certain cars, right? At 18, at 19, at 20, hell, even at 35, right? A lot of those men who are driving those cars, very few of them even really wanted that car. A lot of them, they get cars like that because their friend might have it, or they're trying to impress people that don't know them and stuff like that. You'll see people living in certain areas. Like I'll tell you guys right now, regardless of how much money I have, I'm never gonna I'm never gonna move to Brickell, Miami and try to get the most expensive penthouse. Like I just don't like. There's no need for that, right? Even if I do decide one day that I want to be in a location with more entrepreneurs for networking purposes, which I think networking is a little bit overrated. I'm gonna make a video about that pretty soon, but networking is cool, but it is a little bit overrated. And I'll probably make a video about that tomorrow because I have a reel that I made yesterday. So I want to make a video about that real soon. But even if I did decide to move to a location that might be a little bit more expensive, I'm not going to then try to get the most expensive penthouse or, whatever. And that is because, and it's not because that's necessarily bad, but it's because I know that I don't genuinely care for stuff like that. But if you are a person, if you genuinely want that and it's not to impress people, but it's something that you genuinely want, then by all means pursue it, right? So that's what I'm saying. There's duality to this. I'm not here to virtue signal. I'm not here to act like money is bad. I'm not here to act like wanting certain clothes or certain cars or a certain crib is bad. But you just have to always make sure that it's your true wants, right? It's not what you think people want from you, or it's not you trying to impress women, or if you're a woman watching this, it's not you trying to impress a man. It's none of that. It's what you truly want, right? And when you get down to the nooks and crannies of what you truly want, you'll realize that you don't need like even and here's the best part about this, right? Even if you are somebody who's very flamboyant with like your purchases, and even if you do want to live a super flashy lifestyle, if you really you could still even audit this and still probably figure out that even though you may need a lot of money to live that lifestyle, you probably still might not need as much as you thought you necessarily did at first when you start cutting off and shaving off the few bits of things that you don't truly want, but that you're realizing that you're only wanting them because of social media, because you're trying to impress chicks, or because of whatever it may be, right? And I could get so much into detail about this, guys. Again, this video specifically is for men and women, but especially for men, guys. You guys will see these guys and they'll be like, yeah, bro, like, you need to be making $2 million a month, right? But the reason why they need to make that much money is because they're living like goofy ass lifestyles. Like I said, getting the most expensive penthouse, right? Driving cars where the upkeep is almost as expensive as like purchasing a whole different car, right? A lot of these like dudes are even tricking on women, right? They're paying women's rents and women's car notes and gas bill, light bill, and insurance and all this goofy shit. Motherfuckers paying women's dentals and all this stuff. Like, so they're telling you that you need to make a certain amount of money because they're living goofy ass lifestyles, right? And they need that money to support their lifestyle, bro. If you don't ever plan on tricking on women, if you don't plan on, getting 8, 9 different women pregnant, right? If you don't plan on living in the most exotic house that you could find, right? A house that has 15 bedrooms and you're the only person living in there, like to me, that's just stupid, right? If you don't plan on trying to get a car that you can't purchase, right? Trying to lease a car that you know that you can't afford, you don't do these stupid things, then you realize that you don't need as much money as you want. And again, I don't virtue signal. Money is great. Get money. Get as much money as you want. But make sure it's what your heart truly desires. Like I told you guys, for me, I'm a very low maintenance guy, right? I gotta pay rent, right? Food. Then I want to have my money to be able to get my certain business ventures out, and I want to have money to invest back into other business ventures, right? And one thing I'll say is I do want to have. I believe that a lot of people, and I'll end this video by saying this. I'm not, and this kind of goes into my virtual signal point. I'm not one of these guys who says, "Oh yeah, after rent and food is paid for, you're good," because to me that's selfish. And you guys have probably never heard that before, but this is you guys really getting into my mind. To me, somebody saying that they just want enough money to barely get by, to me, that's selfish because nobody benefits off of that, right? I want money, and this is how, again, I'm letting you guys into my brain. I want to have money to where I could have a lady come clean my house or whatever it may be, or people do certain things for me so that I could focus on making more content. But the flip side to that is that I have the money to invest into their business, right? I could have somebody come mow my lawn. I could have somebody, I plan on selling my car, but if I had a car, I could have somebody come to my house and wash my car so I don't have to take my car somewhere. So not only am I saving time and working on my business, but I'm also able to invest in other people's business, right? So I want other people to be able to reap the benefits of my success, right? when you say something like, I just want enough money to where I have food and rent and water and I'm good, nobody benefits off of that but you. So while you think that you're sounding all high and mighty, that's really the most selfish way that you can live. And again, that's why I say I don't preach virtue signaling. You can say what you want about somebody who might be living a lavish lifestyle, but when they have all these people doing things for them, they're feeding a lot of people, right? When you have maids and when you have a pool guy and all this stuff, like you're feeding a lot of people, right? So that's something I will say is I do want money to where I can help others, but like for a whole bunch of materialistic shit, that's just not my speed. And if it is your speed, that's cool, but make sure that it truly is your speed and it's not you trying to take on another motherfucking speed, right? So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. You may not need as much money as you think that you do. Audit your wants and needs. Make sure you're not living other people's dreams and listening to all these outside forces. This is Randall Branch Media. If you guys want to book a strategy call with me, check the first link in the description. All my other information will be in the description as well. Follow me on Instagram at Randall Branch. I'm going to get back to cooking. I'll see you guys later. Peace.